All right, folks. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and try to construct a dilation of this cartoon. What we're going to try to use here is a scale factor of 3. Scale factor of 3 is what I recommend that you use for this project. A scale factor of 3 and 4 will provide the least amount of overlap for you. You can use a scale factor of 2, but your pictures will be overlapping quite a bit. All right. So I'm going to try to draw this on a marker so that we can see this a little bit better. The idea here is, just like we did for the smiley face, you're going to use some reference points on this picture that should help you be able to dilate it. All right, so let's go ahead and start. And with this BB8 here, I'm going to go ahead and dilate the center of his body. If I dilate the center of his body, that should help me figure out where the center of the new BB8 will be. And because this is a circle, I can draw a circle there, and I should have the vast majority of it done. So if I do that, I'm going to use the same tools that we normally use. I won't do anything any differently. I'll make sure that I'm dilating this point. So I'll use my straight edge and I'll draw the same rays that we normally draw from the center of dilation through that point that I'm trying to dilate. We're using a scale factor of 3. To use the entire ruler, you're going to have to go pretty far. And you might not even have enough room if you just use that small, if you only use one ruler length. So I'd recommend using 2 or 3 ruler lengths. Go all the way down as far as you can along this poster that you created. There we go. All right. And now, just like we were doing before, just like we do for any other dilation, you take your compass, you measure the distance from the center of dilation over to that point that you're trying to dilate. And if we're using a scale factor of 3, we're going to draw not 1, not just 2, but a total of 3 arcs. A total of 3 arcs. And we've created this point right here. That point right there is the new dilated center of our BB8 frame. Then we can use our compass. Because this guy is a circle, I can then use any other point on one of these other many concentric circles that make up our frame BB8. Let's go with this one right here. If I use this same point right here, that's on another part of the inside of his circle. If I dilate that point as well, just like I did before, we use a scale factor of 3. I'm going to draw not just 1, not just 2, but a total of 3 arcs. Now I know that this point right here on our dilated version of BB8, this point right here is the radius of another circle for our friend BB8. So we can then use our compass. We can go ahead and draw a circle just like that. Grab this bigger compass. Hopefully you can see. We're doing the same thing. We're dilating our friend BB8. And we know that he's made up of a bunch of circles, so we can use our compass to draw some circles. Take our time, don't let the compass beat you. I am fighting gravity as well, so now I understand how much difficulty you guys have. There we go. There we go. All right, that's a pretty big portion of BB8. That's inside. That's one of the circles on the inside of BB8. Right. We can do the same sort of thing. For example, on his face up here, if I chose a point up here, another point up here at the top of his head, and another point there. Let me zoom in so you can see those points that I'm talking about. As you can see here, I chose a point on the left side of his head, one on the top of his head, and one on the right side of his head. Zoom all the way back out. We're going to continue with the same process. We'll go ahead and draw those rays from the center of dilation through the points that we're trying to dilate. Just like such, and we'll use our compass to go ahead and actually dilate each one of those points. Remember that we're using a scale factor of 3, so we'll draw not 1, not 2, but 3 arcs. for each one of those points. There we go. And now, at the end of each one of those, so at this point, and at this point, I know that that is the top of BB-8's head. So I can use my skills here, all the skills that I might be able to acquire, all the skills that I should have hopefully acquired throughout the course of this year in geometry, to go ahead and fill in the blanks and draw in the rest of BB. So I know in the original image that from where I drew my 3 dots is the top of BB-8's head, which is about a semicircle. So here in my new 3 dots, I'm going to go ahead and draw the same sort of thing. It's somewhat of a semicircle. So it should look something like this. If you're anything like me, you're not the best artist in the world, that's okay. That's why we use a pencil. You can always go back and erase your work to make it look as good as you want it to look. It looks like we've created something pretty good here. This resembles the top of BB-8's head. The last thing that I would use at this point to make sure that I'm good is I can't really tell how far BB-8's head should stick up. So I would use my compass to figure that out. You can measure it with your compass here, whatever that distance is. In your dilated image, it'll be 3 times as much. So I measured it here. From here, I'll go ahead and do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. So I've now measured how far BB-8's head should stick up, or how far his antenna should stick out of his head. So I'll go ahead and draw in his antenna. Make the thick base that it seems to have in his antenna. As you can see, I've already done a pretty good job here so far of constructing a large amount of BB-8. If I were to continue, if I were to dilate a point, for example, on the very outside circle of BB-8, and pick that one, and do the same thing I've been doing. Go ahead and draw a ray. Like that. And use my compass to go ahead and dilate that point. Not 1, not 2, but a total of 3 times. Now, I can use my compass to go ahead and finish off a good amount of BB-8. BB-8 is a circle. So from the center of that circle, the center of BB-8, to the dilated outside circle of BB-8, I can go ahead and draw the rest of BB-8. So I'll go ahead and construct that circle. It'll look something like this. Yep, we have a pretty good portion of BB-8 here. I think I can then go in there and I can fill in what's missing. Looks like BB-8 kind of comes down and he comes over horizontally. Comes down here and it comes over horizontally. And as you can see there, I've constructed a pretty large portion of BB-8. We are indeed almost done constructing our friend here. If we were to just finish off constructing these, looks like maybe quarter circles here, draw them in here. And if I were to make this another concentric circle and draw in the spikes that stick out from our friend BB-8, it looks like I'd be pretty much done. So it can be that simple. For some of you with the more complicated drawings, you might have to choose significantly more reference points, but choose as many as you need until you can get the entire cartoon drawn in.